Well, the game kind of turned out like I anticipated. It was going to be a close fought game. Problem is, for us offensively, the turnovers I thought were critical. The fouls were critical as well. It gave them field position. And when you play a team like Stanford, you can't do that because you're not going to win. It's very difficult. I thought our effort at the end is something that these guys have in them. But we fell short, we ran out of time. It was a game that I thought early in the game, I anticipated to be low scoring. I just thought both teams kind of have the same DNA. They want to run it, they want to play field position. That's kind of how it turned out. Third quarter came out, we got some points on the board with the field goal, and then from there, errors became our biggest opponent, whether it was the penalties or whether it was the turnovers, whether it was the drop balls. I don't have to tell you folks that, you watched it. I watched it as well. And then I thought at the end our fight came out again, and we fell short, ran out of time. And that's kind of how it's been for 4 games that we've lost. They've all kind of ended the same way with a thud. Not feeling very well at all about that. But that's kind of who we are. We lost, what now, 4 games by 1 score. That's not good enough. Those players are hurting in there, and we got to find a way to win those games. Questions?
Defensively, the first half, too, you talked about that. Both teams going back and forth. I mean, do you feel like the line, the front sevens kind of set the tone with their running game?
I do. I thought both teams felt like they wanted to run the ball, and I thought both defenses did a good job. We tackled well. I thought we tackled. We knocked them back. And then in the third quarter, we got a little leaky. But then again, to me, it was the fouls, the fouls, big penalties, and the turnovers. I mean, you don't do that. You don't generally do that, and at the end have a chance to tie it up when you turn the ball over that many times and you drop balls. You don't. That's sloppy play, and so that's on us. We have to do better in that area.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
You guys, seems like each week it's different, whether the pass game or the rush game is kind of on. Do you think striking more of a balance could help you guys with your offensive consistency?
Yeah, well, the first half it was tough because they had the ball for 20 minutes and we had it for 10. And so that's what they want to do. They want to possess the ball for long periods of time. We couldn't sustain drives, and that's kind of been our Achilles heel for the most part on offense. And I thought second half, and we kind of balanced things off. I think at the end they probably had one more play than we had. They were trying to run clock. I mean, that's what Coach Shaw is going to do. He's going to try to shrink the game down. That's how they play. They've been very successful doing that. We got off the field, gave our offense the ball numerous times, just couldn't get anything done for a while. And then, the clock becomes a factor, and you know that. It just becomes a factor. You're playing against the clock. And at the end, we ran out of time. We made a gallant effort at the end to get it down there in scoring position. Manny will probably say the last throw, he doesn't want to make that one because the guy's in bounds. You got to throw it somewhere in the end zone so you get at least another opportunity, because at that point we had no timeouts. I had to save them to try to get us the ball back with time left on the clock, and just didn't work out. That's a hard loss, tough loss.
How difficult of the play call is it when you have 4th and 1 with such little time on the clock, and you need the first down, but you also need to get the ball in the end zone?
Well, it's tough, but you want to make the first down first because then you have the ability to clock it, and which we did obviously on the other one. We clocked it. We get that. We practiced that stuff. So it was something that is a part of what we work at and talk about. So I thought that was orchestrated well. I think they're at the end. I mean, and Manny will probably say it. If he could take that one throw back to Eno, he'd take it back, because if they tackle you in bounds, game's over. And that's one where Manny, probably just, he was getting rushed and all that. And the worst case scenario, and he'll probably say it as well, if you don't have anywhere to throw it, just throw it out of bounds, and you get another play. And because you never know what's going to happen, because at that point you're playing the clock, and you can't hold the ball for a long period of time when you're down there. You got to get rid of the ball. You can't take sacks. You got to get rid of the ball. You can't throw the ball in bounds. If guys are going to get tackled, the clock's going to run out of them.
Coach, does this loss give any more insight on how you guys are going to get those 2 more touchdowns that Coach Likens and Manny and everyone was really stressing on Monday?
Well, yeah, it's like anything else. You got to give Stanford credit too. They're a pretty good football team. I mean, it's not like they're not a good team. They are a good team. And they did a good job of really not allowing us to get some plays early. But then I thought third quarter, fourth quarter, we found some seams, and we got him in man-to-man a couple times, and Frank made a big catch, and that's just kind of how the game played out. It was one of those games, and we'll look at it on tape, and I just think the turnovers were critical, and the penalties. The penalties gave them field position. I mean, we had back-to-backs, and they called it, so we got to live with it.
Coach, piggybacking off of that question a little bit, the desperation only comes after you're down 2 scores, and all of a sudden we're down to the final seconds of the game, and it's almost a little too late every single week. Is this just a factor of inexperience, or is this something that comes with it just executing correctly?
Well, if I had the formula, I would feed it to them, but I don't have it right now. I like their effort. I know that. They play hard. They do. And it's never over for these kids. They just keep coming. They keep fighting no matter how bad it looks. And it looked bad for a while. And then all of a sudden, you make a couple plays and the energy goes up, and here you go. We're back in the ball game. And I felt that. I felt if we scored that we would have a chance to tie it up. I really did. I told them, I said, if you score, we'll have enough time back. The defense will stop them. You'll get the ball back, and you'll go down there and score. And we just ran out of time.
Did you learn anything about your team tonight?
No, after 6 weeks, I think I understand who they are for the most part. They're a spirited group. They are. We make some errors sometimes, forced errors on our own. And I told them, the first half of the season, we were probably our worst enemy. It wasn't the opponent, it was us. It was us either making mental errors or just having lapses. Tonight was a game of drop balls. It was a game of turnovers, and it was a game of penalties. And that's all on us. Had nothing to do with them. And so I think when you learn how to correct that, you'll win these type of games.
Coach, you stressed that you want to run the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, it seemed like Eno in the offensive line wasn't able to get much. How did that limit what you guys could do offensively?
Well, it makes you a little bit predictable. It puts you in a lot of third and longs. But here again, it was a defensive game. If you watched the game in the first half, it was not a game that a lot of people like watching because it wasn't scores. Fans like to see touchdowns. It's kind of one of those boring games. But David Shaw is of the mindset that's fine. I'm in the mindset it's okay. We'll just keep playing. We'll get it to the fourth quarter and we'll see who wins. And it's kind of like Michigan State game. Be quite honest, right? Same thing. Except we had the ball at the end and we were able to go down in 5 minutes and score and kick the ball and we won. So we were down a score and 2 scores, and we found a way to put some points on the board. Defense did a nice job of stopping them. But that's how the game was going to be played out. I mean, I didn't have any delusions of thinking this was going to be a 40-point game because it wasn't going to be that. I said that this week. They possessed the ball 11 times in a football game, average. We possessed it 10. So what does that tell you? First half, they had it about 5 possessions. We had it about 4 or 5. It was one of those methodical football games where you just, whoever blinks first is going to be in trouble. And we blinked. We dropped balls. We had penalties. That's the ball game. That's the ball game when you boil it all down. I mean, that's how I look at it anyway.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.